Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina and Democratic Congressman Khanna from California for a bipartisan conversation about the volatile political climate that we're in and the growing threats of violence against lawmakers. We thank you both for being here. While initially a reaction to Friday's assault on Speaker Pelosi's husband had both Democrats and Republicans expressing their sympathy for Paul Pelosi and condemning the attack, the tone seemed to shift to one of both parties and pointing the finger at each other for creating a divided political environment. Congresswoman Mace, we'll ask you first, do you think that there's some truth at all to the claims that Republican messaging actually fanned the flames, allowing for this kind of political attack to occur?
Well, I think anyone who makes that claim really isn't supportive of putting forth a solution. I myself, as a Republican, have been a victim of political violence over the last couple of years, 2 years specifically. I've had my car keyed. I've had my house spray painted. And just a few weeks ago, I had my house trespassed on for the second time in a year. I see this kind of rhetoric and divisiveness happening on both sides of the aisle. I do want to make very clear what happened to Paul Pelosi is horrifying. And it is the worst nightmare of any member of Congress to have themselves or a member of their family attacked in such a horrific way. And we should be condemning it in every way, shape, and form possible.
Congressman Khanna, is the level of outrage different when a Republican is the target of political violence versus a Democrat?
Well, first of all, the attack on Paul Pelosi for me is not just political, it's personal. In the Bay Area, we're a tight-knit family. I was just sickened to my stomach by seeing what happened, and it needs to be condemned completely, categorically. I appreciate Representative Mace condemning it. I, of course, condemn the violence against her in any way. That is totally uncalled for. And I spoke out against the violence and targeting of Justice Kavanaugh and of Representative Scalise. I mean, we need to lower the temperature in this country and speak out against any threats and political violence. That's not the American way. It's unpatriotic.
How concerned are you that this political climate is just going to continue to get more divisive, more violent?
I am very concerned, and I know that Congressman Khanna and I, we've shared stories about when we talk about the way that we've worked together, because he and I have worked together on several pieces of legislation and consider him a friend in Congress. But when we tell people, when we tweet about it, we'll each get threats. I see it from all sides. And rhetoric is very concerning because we do have to lower the temperature, and words have meaning. Words sometimes mean someone might come after you and take action, because you can't walk outside these days, or even go to the grocery store, go to church, or any type of public event without being worried about your safety. And I personally, I do carry a gun everywhere I go. And I have uniformed officers when I've got public events. And I am looking over my shoulder because of the threats on me and my family. And it's devastating to see that's where we are today, but we have to have people like Congressman Khanna and I that are willing to talk about it and talk about how we can work together and bring peace to just a very divisive situation in our country right now.
Well, I love, first of all, that we're just having this conversation, and it's nice to see the split screen with both of you talking about this issue. What can you do to work together?
I think it would be really helpful if Republicans and Democrats go to each other's districts, meet people there, so they get a sense that we are all patriots, even if we may disagree on particular issues. Of course, we need to condemn the conspiracy theories that are out there. But most important is to start to see the humanity in each other, to start to understand that we're parents and we're sons and daughters, and we all want, by and large, what's best for America. I mean, we really have work together. And this is not kumbaya. I mean, look, you look at the Representative Mace and my voting record, it's probably 90% different. We probably disagree on many issues. But the point is, we can put aside differences to come together, to treat each other with respect.
Curious to hear both of your thoughts on where the political climate goes from here.
As Rose said, 90% of the things we disagree on, but there's 10% in there, maybe even 15, where we can work together and understanding and communicating with people in our community and with each other that our goals at the end of the day are often very similar, but how we get there might be different. And if we don't play in the same sandbox, if we don't negotiate, if we don't build consensus with one another, we will not be successful at overcoming the divisions we have today.
You mentioned earlier, both of you all have families. Congresswoman Mace, we'll start with you. How concerned are you about your children?
I'm very concerned. And I've had threats. Most recently in August, I had a threat by someone that wanted to kill me and every member of my family. And it was very scary and harrowing for my kids. I have two teenage kids, and protecting them is my number one priority as well. And so it's been very difficult for our family, but they understand too that what we are doing, both Ro and I, is greater than ourselves. And I do credit, some of the issues that we're seeing are the fault of social media. I just wish people would just get off social media and not believe everything that they read or what someone else might post out there.
And Congressman, just today, the United States Capitol Police Chief called for heightened security for members of Congress due to our country's current political climate. We've not learned the details of what those security measures will include, but what kind of protection do you feel that lawmakers need in order to try to stay safe themselves as well as keeping their families safe?
Well, I was shocked that the Speaker's house didn't have 24/7 security. So we can start just with leadership at the very least, needs to have round-the-clock security at residences, the same that we have for Supreme Court justices. Now, it's probably impractical to have that kind of security for 535 members of Congress and the Senate. Though, there should be assessments of residences to make sure that they're safe. And for members who have had specific threats, I mean, like Representative Mace has had, they should have security on a case-by-case basis.
Congressman Ro Khanna and Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, we thank you both so much for your time and for your example for this country, that we can listen to each other and have differing opinions and ideas. So we appreciate you inspiring us all.
Thank you, Lindsay.